Welcome to episode 13 of Diski Discussions. I'm your host, Basson. This week we chat to Stellenbosch FC's under-23 and MultiChoice Diski Challenge head coach, Evangelos Vellios. Coach Van, as he is popularly referred to, won back-to-back Varsity Cup tournaments during his time at the University of Pretoria, where he spent 8 years before moving down to Stellies. Coach Van, well, thanks for joining me on Diski Discussions. We discussed off air quickly, but I want you to tell the listeners, your name Evangelos is Greek, but you support Portugal at international level. Can you just explain why that is?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. It's a real privilege, Alex. I really appreciate it. Obviously I grew up in Mozambique with a Portuguese a Portuguese mother and a Greek father. And my Greek grandparents unfortunately passed away when I was 3 years old. And I grew up more with my Portuguese grandfather and grandmother, who was a big, obviously, football fan, big Benfica man. So my team has always been Benfica growing up. And I always supported the Portuguese national team. And had fate had it, Portugal and Greece meet in the Euro final of 2004. I couldn't believe what happened there. But at least we got to win one in 2016. So, yeah.
So I don't even have to ask you. It's Cristiano Ronaldo over Lionel Messi.
It's a difficult one. I think it's very close. I definitely know as a coach who the better sort of footballer is. But I'm not sure by the end of their careers who will be the most accomplished and, who will put on the GOAT hat. We'll see. Time will tell, but it's very close.
So you say you're a big Benfica supporter, grew up in Maputo. Who was your favorite player growing up? I think, if I checked your Twitter page, you seem to have a big following of Rui Costa back in the day.
Yeah, Rui Costa is my absolute hero. Absolute hero. I mean, I had a few growing up. Nuno Gomes impacted me a lot. Luis Figo, a little bit like Simão Sabrosa, but Rui Costa is my hero. Absolute number one. All my friends know how I adored. I still do. I just love him. I watch his videos often. And yeah, he was someone that really impacted my love for the game.
Moving over to South African football, we first got to know each other at Tuks. I was working for the student newspaper, and you worked for the varsity team that participated in the Varsity Cup. Had a very successful time there. I think you're the most successful coach, joint most successful coach of 2 titles. What do you remember of your time at Tuks, especially in the Varsity Cup team? You had some players there that went on to make it professionally and play at a higher level. What are your fondest memories?
Yeah, what a special group. My time at University of Pretoria was extensive, as a student, as a youth coach, in the academy, the reserve team, and the varsity team. Those were golden years for me. Definitely, obviously, the titles that we won were special. 2 USA Nationals, and obviously 2 Varsity Football Cups out of the 3 possible that we competed. But my fondest memories were just, the time that we spent together, student athletes and coach, the wonderful memories, the traveling, the time we spent together in hotels. It was all very new for all of us, Varsity football gave us an opportunity to experience, what the professional athlete and coach go through, the traveling, the flying, the hotels, That was such fond memories, celebrating special victories together and just seeing them flourish on and off the field. I'll never forget 2013, our first final, telling them, a lot of you, this is it, because it was a special group that had been together. Obviously, I was with them 2012. We won the USA National. Then varsity football appeared, so a lot of them registered for honors or masters just to get an opportunity to play. It was an open age there up to 30. Yeah. And it was our only chance to get that opportunity for them to showcase their talent. Some of them were 27, 28. And just to say to them, guys, this is a chance, A lot of professional footballers will play at the level that they achieved, but you have the opportunity to win something in front of your loved ones on national TV. It was just amazing. Yeah, great times.
How impactful was the Varsity Cup? We've seen it's very, the rugby team, Springboks. There's been a lot of Springboks that played varsity rugby, netball, hockey, etc. How impactful do you think it's been on football? There hasn't been as many success stories, but we have Mlambo who played. I think he played for NWU, if I'm not mistaken. Mane as well, and he obviously came to Tuks and then played for SuperSport and went on to play for Bafana. How impactful do you think Varsity Cup is and will be in the future?
Yeah, I think it definitely has its role, especially for what happens is, especially with the emergence of the MDC, there's a gap that's left. So for maybe boys who are not at the very highest level, youth football, and they get a chance now to through university play at that level, and then there's been some success stories. I think obviously the important part is at that level you gotta manage football and studies. So it's not easy, but it definitely plays a role. I'll never forget that 2013 we played a semi-final against NW at Northwest Mafeking at home, and the game finished. We won 1-0, and I mean there were hugs and that, but I went straight to Mlambo. He was sitting on the floor, and I said, "You're gonna reach the very top." I mean, he bossed the midfield. I was like, "Look, I'm very sorry you lose this game, but you don't deserve to lose. You're going to reach the very top." There was a photo, I think, that did the rounds on social media on me chatting to him. It's a very special moment.
Great photo, actually.
And we're still staying. Yeah. And yeah, I think it definitely plays a role within South African football. Hopefully, there's the Sibia brothers who've played varsity football. There's a couple of stories out there. Lawrence played varsity football. Lawrence and Twane went on to play. Ndlovu, King and Ndlovu is there. So there has been a few. But over the next few years, we can get also more sort of academy kids who apply themselves enough that they can go and get themselves an education. And then who knows, they bloom later. Tsiri, who was with us last season, was also a Wits player that appeared in in professional football at the age of 26, 27. So, yeah.
It's a very successful time for the University of Pretoria back then, playing top division football as well, winning promotion with Steve Barker. What do you remember of working with the first team, Tuks? They had, great success in their first season, finishing 8th. They had some great players. Mongani Zungu obviously stands out. What do you remember of those early days in the top division for Tuks?
Yeah, those were very special times. There was just such a great buzz at the club, at the university. That year coincided with also the varsity football starting, so it was just a golden years. Obviously, for my mentor Steve Barker, it was a special moment for him. And yeah, we had a great team. That was a great bunch of lads. I didn't work directly with them, but indirectly, because obviously working with the varsity team and also coaching the reserves for Steve Barker, it was special to journey in that. And yeah, we assembled a great team. That was a top 8. Mama Nyang, great leader, Zungu, Maureen Goma. It was such a special group. Have fond memories of that, yeah.
And then obviously you worked with Shaun Bartlett at Tuks as well. Before we move on to Stellenbosch FC, you worked with Shaun Bartlett. He's now at TS Galaxy, legend of South African football. What was it like working with him? Obviously, different circumstances, being in the second division. What was that like, and what did you learn from playing in the national first division and being a coach at that level?
Yeah, so my time there, obviously I worked after Steve Barker left a year or so after. I joined the Sammy Troughton as his assistant, and then unfortunately, obviously, Sammy left and Shaun Bartlett came in, which was a tough period because obviously that coincided with the relegation. And obviously I learned a lot of lessons in that journey. But just working with Shaun was a great privilege. The knowledge that he imparted into everyone, and certainly to me, was great. Just sharing in the experiences that he had as a coach and obviously as a player. Didn't end up being the way it ended. I mean, at the end of that season, the organization felt it would be better for me to, for a year or two, just try and get our structures in place. So I took more of a sort of technical coordinator for the club. I was really done with varsity football, so I wasn't going to go back there. And then I just tried to realign academy, try and realign student football with the first team. So I didn't work with Shaun during the NFD, but in the PSL was a mixed emotion season, obviously.
Yeah.
But still some great memories. I'm one of the people who I feel every moment in your life or career there's growth opportunities, and I learned a lot from that experience. It was very painful, and definitely I think we learn more from those than we do from the joy moments, if I could put it that way.
Talking about difficult times, during your time at Tuks, you were also involved in quite a serious car accident. I remember speaking to you back then. How difficult was it to get back to, just normal life, and, not just physically, but, mentally as well?
Yeah, I mean, 2016 was a tough year, obviously a few months after that period with the relegation of Tuks and working with Shaun, and I had a terrible accident. I had visited my family in Mozambique. I was on my way back to Pretoria. And unfortunately, as we saw now in December, and our president just recently spoke about it, someone overtook a truck on a solid line just outside Mbombela and hit me head on. I just remember waking up in the car, and it was a really tough. It took me about a year to recover. My body was pretty banged up, my leg was in pieces, my neck was broken, so it was really tough. But I learned a lot about just being grateful for the opportunities God has given me, for the second chance He's given me, and just for how do I want to live the rest of my life, and for what purpose do I want to live. So for me, that was not an easy experience, but definitely helped me realign my life and my journey. And the University of Pretoria stuck by me throughout the whole, for months and months. I never had to give a leave form or anything. They just stood by me. So for that, I'm eternally grateful. And for all the support and love I got from friends and colleagues of the industry like yourself, who just spurred me on and said, come on, get up on your feet, the country needs you. Stuff like that really meant a lot to me. So many coaches who reached out to me, people that I looked up, and I realized, okay, I've got a purpose that I have to fulfill, and I trust in God to fulfill it.
That purpose has taken you down to Stellies with Coach Steve Barker, your mentor, like you said. What is it like working with Steve? Obviously a professional footballer and a great one at that back in his day. What is it like working with him?
Coach Steve is an incredible manager. He really is. I think he's like I always say to him, you're a manager, like the Premier League manager. He's such a great manager of human beings, of players. He manages so well, up, down, left, right of the organization. He trusts a lot. He's obviously got Wesley Sergel, who's been with him for so many years. He trusts him immensely. He's trusted me immensely, given me so much responsibility. I work with him and Wes and the rest of the staff in the morning with the first team, and then I work with the MDC as well. Well, now the DDC. He's just a great manager, great football mind, great tactical understanding, and just someone that truly wants to continue growing and being successful. He's had a successful career, but I've always said to him, I think he's one of the coaches who deserves to be spoken of in someone who's won Premier Leagues and who's won Nedbank Cups, who's won Telcoms and all these cups. So I really pray that I can help him achieve that because he deserves it. He's one of the pure managers that we have in this country. He's a phenomenal leader, someone that I will follow wherever he goes.
Obviously, for Stellenbosch to win cups, maybe not this year, maybe you guys are a work in progress, but do you see that on the horizon in your future? I think the structure there in Stellenbosch is superb. Much like Tuks, you've got a high performance center, you've got, great facilities. Do you see Stellenbosch challenging higher up in seasons to come?
I mean, I think we can. I think that's the ambition. Our CEO, Rob Bernardi, runs that's another great leader that we have, in them and in Mr. Garth Leroux and all their capacities. They're such great leaders of this organization, and they're giving us direction. And the direction is that we want to be a successful PSL club.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know it's our second season. It will take a little bit of time. But Coach Steve has exactly a plan on how we're going to do that, and in terms of recruiting, making sure that the team is strong enough to keep improving. So obviously this season we would love to set our sights on being in the top 8, which again gives us an opportunity to compete for another cup the following year. And from first season survival, well placed to go on to the next season. Hopefully we can push for a top 8. And I think from season 3, season 4, obviously we're still in the net bank. We got Sundowns away, which is not an easy one. But that's the fairy tales of cups, is that anything can happen. So we definitely going to give it a bash this year to try and win a Nedbank Cup. But in years to come, definitely we want to be able to reach a level at which we can fight for cups. And we know that it's a process, but I think, like you said, this is the right club that's got all the right structures and all the environment to be successful.
Due to the dreaded COVID-19 pandemic, the MDC season was called off short. I think you guys were in 7th or 6th on the log when MDC was finally called off. Were you? How did that season go for you? And were you happy with where you guys ended up?
Yeah, I mean. When I came here, I was going to take over a very exciting under-23 team. The rule changed quite close to the start of the season. It was at about 13 days to get a squad together because we were heavy on the 22, 23-year-olds. So because obviously Coach Steve had a group of players that had played a role in the promotion, and they had been retained with the purpose of keep training with the first team while bridging the gap and catching game time on the MDC. So it took us some time to get a squad together, and the under-21 rule was definitely to the favor of the established academies, Sundowns, Wits, Pirates, the stronger academies, Supersport, they had but we slowly built a squad, and we weren't really focused. We were really focusing on building a squad that can sustain this organization for a few years. And once they started gelling and getting the understanding, I felt we were in contention I think with the last couple of games, I think we could have sneaked in a top 5 maybe. I had that feeling, just the momentum we had, the way we were playing. And then, of course, we were looking at maybe with that momentum pushing for the top 8 shield, I thought 3 games we definitely could have fought for something. But I think it's Jurgen Klopp who says football is the most important thing of the least important things in life. So, like you say, COVID unfortunately has come, and the PSL took that decision, which we had to respect. And I think 6th, 7th was a great season for us, considering all the changes and readjustments that we had to do.
What do you make of the talent in Stellenbosch? Obviously, working at Tuks, you were exposed to a lot of talent, young talent. Tuks rely on players coming through the ranks. Do you see the same type of talent in Stellenbosch, or even more so?
Yeah, definitely. I've really tried to connect with the community, with legends of this community, who tell me tales of great Stellenbosch Winelands products over the years. And definitely, if I look at the first team, Ashley Dupree, Dino van Rooyen, Leleto Skellum, Lee Langeveld, just to name a few, that are born and bred here. Keegan, our goalkeeper, they're all born and bred Stellenbosch boykies. And of course, the golden boy who was my player of the season, Jaden Adams, who I think is one of the most talented, if not the most talented youngster I've ever worked with. I immediately started telling Coach Steve, I'm like, who he knew very well, I'm like, this is a special one. This is really, really, really a unique talent. And he's done really well. He broke into the first team last season, got himself a contract. He's been a regular in the team, has got assists already this season. Our stats tells us that he's one of the more creative players in the league in terms of expected assists. So I'm so thrilled, and there's many more to come. It's just about us as an organization making sure that we have structures in place to nurture the talent. So definitely lots of talent out here in the Winelands. And of course, our club is also open to players we've got players from all over the country here at the moment. So we've got a really exciting project.
Talking about one of the unsung heroes, a guy, Alan Robertson. I don't think a lot of people know about him, but he's been ever present, I think, this season for you guys. I think he was a Tuks and Amazulu with Steve Barker. What is he like as a person, and how highly do you rate him as a player?
I think JJ is one of the best defenders in the league at the moment. The stats showed. We do quite a bit of work on stats. We've got some very clever people here that are far more clever than I am. But JJ is just a great lad. His story is amazing. He's so committed. He's so professional. He works so hard. He looks after his diet. In the lockdown period, we saw a real emergence. I think he had a mental shift in that he made some decisions. I think COVID, depending on how you embraced it, I think it made some people in the world, not only in football, realize the privilege that they have every day. So I think Alan really, truly realized the privilege that he has of every day waking up, coming to do what he loves. He's also studying, so he's got a degree that he's doing through correspondence. I think it is through correspondence, if I speak under correction. So he's just empowering himself. He spends time, whether it be with Wesley Sergel sitting and watching video, asking opinion, whether it's, sitting with Ryan Hunt checking his stats, it's just, he's just an incredible professional, and he's doing really well for us. He's definitely, if the season had to end now, he'd be right up there as one of the players of the season. Incredible technical player, great passing ability, his understanding of the game, great at reading the game, intercepting, tackling, organizing, and also strong in attacking set pieces. I think it's one thing that I'm hoping in coming weeks and months, he's going to start scoring again some goals of set pieces, which I think he'll add to his weight and value.
Like you mentioned, you guys have players from all over South Africa, but all over Africa as well. Nathan Sinkala being one of them. You have someone from Nigeria and Tanzania. Is that Stellies' outlook? I know Steve Barker's always been good at spotting talent, not only in South Africa, but identifying talent across the border. Are you guys open to bringing in players from all over the continent? I mean, Nathan Sinkala is a seasoned professional and he's had great success as a Zambia international.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. We've got, Nathan, I often say to him, or I often say to the lads, I'm like, this man won the African Cup of Nations. You just think of how we celebrate that in our country. We spoke about Shaun Bartlett, how we still celebrate him today. And I often say to the guys, he played in the midfield as a youngster, 19, 20 years old, against Yaya Toure, against Didier Zokora, and against Sheikh Tiote, God rest his soul. I'm like, that's just crazy. He's such an incredible footballer, and I mean, everything that he's won in Africa, Champions League, leagues. So it's a great addition to our club. Ali, obviously from Tanzania, like up and young, coming player. We've got Stanley Dingma from Nigeria, is doing very well for us. And Junior Mendieta, who's come from Argentina, We had Diego Franco last season from Mexico. So definitely Coach Steve is someone that is open to bringing in, for lack of better words, different flavors, different types of football, types of IQs and different types of styles that we can mix together and make an exciting team. And they've all definitely brought value. Junior Mendieta, I think, has had, unfortunately, one or two little hiccups with injuries. But I think once he gets up and going, he's going to be one of the very important players of this league. He's a very special talent. Definitely it's part of our strategy to recruit smart. And when we bring, foreign talent, it needs to be impactful talent that can really add value to our club and definitely to our football.
I know coaches like to take it game by game, but what is your long-term goals as a coach? Obviously working now in Stellenbosch, but where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I would, like you said, take it day by day. In 10 years, I would love to say, that I am part of a very successful organization that's competing for titles. One of the things that has always driven me is to win trophies. I don't know, since I was a young boy, I always dreamt of holding trophies, and throughout my career, it's something that has been blessed to me, but also with the accident that I had, I learned the importance of impacting lives as well, impacting human beings, impacting them on and off the field. So in the next 10 years, I would see myself fighting for those things. If God takes me to a club or takes this club to that level, because I believe that, when I marry a club, I marry in 10 years. So in 10 years, I would see myself still here, but now we're fighting for Africa, Coach Steve in 10 years time, I still think he's healthy, he's strong, could be working with him, could be working with Wes, could be, and fighting to win in Africa. That's definitely what I see, fighting for that. I think we can. But, wherever that football takes me, if it's here, if it's not, I trust my life to God. And it could be locally, it could be overseas. My ultimate dream growing up would be one and only to coach Benfica. That's the one. So at some stage, Mr. Bernardi will have to let me go for that dream. But until then, definitely committed. I just wanna help South Africa football. I just want to be a role player in our country. We got so many exciting young coaches coming through, and I think that, we've got really some amazing people coming through that want to take our football to the next level. And I'm one of them. I want to contribute to our football. I want to contribute wherever I work. When I work with professional players, I try to help them on the smaller details. When I work with younger players, it's bigger details, but I just want to help them on details and help them become better players, better human beings. And I learn from them daily. We were doing set pieces today with Mark van Heerden, central free kicks. And I said to him, Mark, what can I teach you about taking free kicks? You've been doing it for the better part of 10, 12 years. I could only dream. I'm learning from you. I'm standing here learning from you because you can teach me how to put a free kick in the top corner. I speak to Robin Johannes. I'm like, I think he's one of the greatest players. I mean, he's an incredible footballer. And I'm like, I look at you, at how you position yourself, how you read the game, how you not being a super athletic player, deal with guys like Grobler, guys like, Gabadinho Mango. I see you putting them in your pocket. And I learned from you. So I think I'm also here to learn, from players and from coaches.
Well, Coach Van, thanks for your time. It's been really great hearing from you, and I appreciate your time. Good luck with everything at Stellies, and, say hello to Steve, Coach Bartlett. It's just great seeing you guys prosper down there, and keep safe, man.
Thanks so much, AB. I really appreciate it. I feel privileged to have been invited. And you too. I'm not as active on social media as I should be, but the little I've been following, I like to read your tweets or your comments, some stuff. I think you're also one of the great football people in our country. So keep doing a great job as well, man. And thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for the kind words. Cheers, Van. Thank you for listening to Diski Discussions. If you have any questions or guests you'd like me to have on the show, please hit me up at AB_Basson on Twitter or on Instagram. Stay safe, like, subscribe, aware.